Okay. I didn't know it was gonna have a thing as soon as I started. I'm just double checking stuff. Alright. Okay. Oh, alright. Yeah, no. No problem, guy. Not a huge deal. Oh. Well, I mean, it's there. What's the. Why wouldn't I just take like the 2 seconds to do it? It's an option. Why is this? I. Yeah. I appreciate this. Oh. Oh, I mean, yeah. I do this thing where if it's like it was 3:15 when I went to set it, but it was probably in the middle of 3:15, so I set it to 3:16 and then waited until the clock got to 3:16 and hit okay. Okay. All right. Hooray. Cool. I love this. I love stuff like this so much. I guess I shouldn't be surprised that they're. Oh, hi, I'm Ash. This is Stanley Parable. I've never done an opening, so I don't know why I felt the need to do one this time. But anyway.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
I'm not skipping nothing.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple.
Also, it's raining outside.
He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard.
So,
orders came to
you
him
might hear
through
that.
a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-winning, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized
I do miss having
that
my
not
microphone.
one single order had arrived on the monitor for him.
I've just been using my Logic Ham.
No one had showed up to give him instructions.
It works.
Call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
I love the achievements. Oh, right. If my brain like reeled for a second because I was like, where's the office? Alright, I know.
Come over here. In the vent.
I'm in the vent.
I want to show you something.
I don't know if it didn't think that I would like not want to do the skipping thing. Like if the devs didn't anticipate that maybe I don't want to interrupt. I want to hear him talking and then I'll just like
satisfying the new ultra deluxe content turned out to be. But it got me thinking about the
I don't know.
past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
Oh man, I meant to mess with the settings because my eyes can't see nothing in this dark.
I call it the memory zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the memory zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, wait.
Oh, what? Oh my gosh! This is slightly different. I don't know if it's because I didn't go directly into that. Interesting that the narrator decided that that was one of his favorite memories from the base game. Stanley dying. Cool. It's not concerning. Oh, maybe that's what... Well, I might be drawing too vague of conclusions, actually.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content. Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of
I didn't
choice
see
in
this.
games, and one that
The
offers
only
some
place I
of the
saw
most
it was
enjoyable, surprising and rewarding
at the
choices
part I
I've
didn't
ever
get to
been
in the
confronted
museum.
with in
So
a
I saw it
game.
in the
9
museum,
out of 10.
but
Don't you
not
get
in the
it,
actual
Stanley?
game.
The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
I can't tell if the audio, if the lines of dialogue are like slightly different or exactly the same. The serious room. Why do you open this door if I can't get to it? Let me in. Let me in. You have these boxes, but you won't let me... You opened the door. Maybe I just gotta wait.
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here? Oh no. Oh God, no.
What lies
Stanley,
underneath
it's a
the house of all
collection reviews from
nostalgic
Steam,
structures?
the online video game distributor.
The
I
truth
haven't
of
looked at these in
subjective
years.
experience.
I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they? Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny!
I want to just say,
funny.
I love
Trying to
the
make a
narrator's
serious
voice
work
so
of
much.
art.
The voice
I suppose
actor
I could write up a handful of
deserves all
gags
of the
to insert into
accolades.
the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them. Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley, I'm not preachy, am I?
A little bit.
You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can.
A little
My
bit.
goodness, this is actually quite shocking for me. I always, well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue
It's also
as being
raining
rather
outside for me.
terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the
It's
game.
weird, I thought it would rain a lot more
Mountain
where I
areas.
live, but it might
Oh,
just be,
I always thought it did, but maybe it wasn't. Dear,
I don't know,
what an awful memory to have to hold on to.
time of year, I guess. This is my first time being in this place. I'm on a different side of the country, so
I feel like a failure. Like
I don't know what to
people
expect.
are. Perhaps the Stanley parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Also, I feel kind of bad for talking over the narrator. We've just already done this part, kind of. Although, if there are things changing, then
You constantly
meh.
have to stop doing anything so that
Figure
the
it out.
writer can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment.
I guess if
surely
I've
could
already
work.
listened to
What if
this,
it
I
means you can
shouldn't
strike these
necessarily
negative reviews from the
think I
record?
need to feel
Only
bad for
positive
skipping.
reviews of the Stanley parable. That's my motto today, and it's always
Maybe.
been my
I don't
motto.
know.
I'd do anything
Hello.
for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
No, you're totally fine, Water Hat, because, like, I don't, like, usually, I don't stream at any consistent schedule, so I don't think you've missed much.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people.
Bet you're wondering if I'm going to let him ramble
Silence
again.
them, by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes something like this. The story, and the choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth. Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary...
Also, thank you for being here,
flourishes
because
and
I just
lengthy
appreciate
ruminations on the
getting
nature
to
of
share the
choice in
experience.
video games.
That's why I
Of
like
course,
streaming in
I
general.
happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a manifesto. Look, I'll outline it for you very briefly, and you can tell me what you think. Okay, so my theory is that any choice you've ever made is simply a series of choices made by the person who you are
I cannot
or
get
were
comfortable
or will
with
be
this.
at the time of having made said
My, like,
choice.
wrist
That
is
to
just
say,
not
if by
about this life.
articulating a choice you've already made, you bring that choice into being, then by making no choice and saying nothing, are you not simply erecting in the sanctuary of time a monument to every person you've ever been, making every choice to which you've ever given your great gift of mortal and yet timeless thought? Or rather, do all of the choices
I think
you've
the
ever
focus
made,
of this
in fact,
contemplation is a
make
little
you
bit misdirected.
more not this kind of person, and in fact do the very opposite? You see, it could in fact be both of these things at
Because I agree
once,
with that.
That you are both making choices and not making
Because not
choices,
making a choice
and
is
that
still
they are
making a
both
choice.
affecting you and not affecting you at the same time by virtue of the fact that you both are and are not making them. Okay, at first, I was leaning towards manifesto.
It feels
but
weird
now I'm going to
commenting
settle
on what
down
he's
and
saying
slap
because
a
I think
treatise label
I'm
on
just
this one.
saying
I
what the
think it has much
developer was
more
already
treatise
thinking as they
vibe
wrote
to
it.
But
Also,
I
my
have to
voice
say that
overlapping with his is
manifesto
kind of like
just has a much
jarring my
grander sort of
brain.
tone. It has a mouthfeel that is rich with ambition and history. Ambitious history, if you will. See, now
Ambistry.
you've got me going back to manifesto. Heavens, at this rate, we're going to be here all day. Okay, look, I have a method for exactly this sort of situation, and I do find myself in this situation frequently. I'm going to say each word back and forth in repeated succession until I become sick of one or the other, in which case the word I am not sick of shall be the victor. It is an unimpeachable strategy, Stanley. It's rescued me from disaster in countless situations.
Has it?
All right, here we go. Treatise. Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go
Shaking
off on
my
a
head. He's
thoughtless
being so
display of
preachy again.
self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their Steam review.
That's the
Or at
part that
least
kills.
change
It's
some of
like
the
I like
word
the
reviews.
conversation
To
that
be
I could be
honest,
having
I
with the
don't even know if
narrator,
one
but
can
he gets
change their
really
review in
hung
the
up
first
on
place.
like
I guess I should become better educated on exactly how
whether or
Steam
not people
works.
are happy with what he's
Perhaps that would
saying,
have been the smart thing to
and I
check
think
on
that's
before I
that's
went
the
about
thing
this whole
that's
exercise of making the skip button.
like
Although I have to imagine that after seeing this
probably the
exciting
point
new
of
technology at
this
work,
DLC, I
surely
think.
whoever it is runs Steam will instantly run out and implement a new feature to make it possible to edit
Also,
one's
that's silly,
review,
but
merely
I
because of
know
this
I've been
very
the type of
situation.
person to think like,
Yes,
well,
I think that's quite
I've
likely.
had this
Or
experience and
perhaps
I should be
possibly
the
one
the exception by
user
pointing
might
it out,
actually
and then they'll
change
fix
their
it.
review
It's like
so that the
they
feature is not
might,
widely abused.
but
I
probably
would
not.
even be okay with Steam altering this particular review so that it reads as something more beneficial. Something along the lines of,
Also,
this
this is
game
just
is the
silly.
best game. Let me start over. How about this? From the ashes of depravity rises the phoenix of quality.
Also, that's so interesting to me that he says that, and there's no like text for it, and then that's just the end of the monologue, because I guess they assumed people would skip it, like, because that's the point. You're supposed to be skipping this section, but the point next to that point, both points, that's the first point. The second point, if you don't do it, there's another point. The second point is listening until it gets to a point where he says something, and then it's like maybe the fact that there's stuff surrounding that missing and it's not in line with the rest of the experience is intentional, or they just forgot to add that line and it's like weirdly, I almost said ominous, but that has like a negative connotation. Jesus Christ, I'm starting to do the thing he's doing. Hang on.
Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait, how do we get out of here?
This is the dilemma
Where did
now.
the door go? Wasn't there a door that
The
led
door
into
is
this room?
missing. I can't get
I
out.
don't
The
feel
only
quite
implication would be to press the
certain
skip
what
button. I don't want to,
How
because
else
it
would
leaves
we
him
have
alone
gotten
and it
into
makes
the
me
room in the
sad.
first place? I don't think one can enter a room without a door of some sort, or a window or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere? A porthole? A sufficiently large crack in the wall? I'll take any of these.
Oh,
All
that's
I
not-
want is for us to move on and to please step away from the skip button, to go anywhere other than the skip button. There was a door here before, wasn't there? I swear there was. Where did it go? Can you maybe just ram your way through a wall?
Yeah.
Is there any possibility that you could, say, slam your body into the wall until enough damage is done for you to be able to leave? Please, I'll take any option at all. I'm asking you to work with me.
I don't know.
We need a door. We need a door of some kind. I can work with any kind of door as long as it can open and lead from one room to another.
Well, where would I
I'm
find the
going to
door?
step away for just a moment, and I'm going to try to find us a door. I don't know how exactly to remove a door and place it in a different wall, but I will find a way, I promise. You just need to not do anything. Don't press the skip button. Please, please, please do not press the skip button. Just wait here.
The narrator
Wait here for
deserves
me,
to be treated with
and
respect,
don't
and not a
press the
single
skip
line of
button.
dialogue must be gone unnoticed.
I'll be right back.
For me, it's mostly like, it's the way that he's like, oh yeah, no, it's fine, you know, it just leaves me alone for extended periods of time. It's like, oh, it was only like 15 minutes. Oh, now it's half an hour. Now it's like an hour. I'm like, I don't want to keep doing that to him. That just feels mean. Like, I don't mind waiting like a few minutes for him to finish talking. I don't know what the developers intended with this part, and that's what gets me tripped up. I'm like, I'm fine with waiting if I'm supposed to wait, if it means that I'm not causing unnecessary suffering to the fictional characters they have put me in this world with. But if I'm not supposed to wait, and I'm supposed to act, I need to figure out if there's any indication of that. Because otherwise I'm just sitting here and not doing anything. Which isn't inherently bad, except that now I'm streaming this. If I was by myself, well, I guess then the alternative would be I would be sitting in my room just doing this. Not sure if I should be moving on or waiting for him to bring me a door. Because I really don't mind either way. I don't mind waiting. It's just, I'm like, what is there actually a purpose to that? Or is the point that I'm supposed to be like, oh, I guess I'll just hit the skip button. Like, what do I learn from hitting the skip button? What do I learn from this experience if I just hit the skip button and I abandon the narrator for like 2 hours? Is this a lesson in like abandoning patience for the sake of moving the story along because it's a necessity? Or is this a lesson in practicing patience even when you don't know if that's what you're supposed to be doing, because sometimes that's how life is? Bucket, help me. This is a pretty good representation of how my life feels right now. Like, I don't mind waiting. I don't mind being patient. I don't mind learning the lessons I need to be learning. I just don't know what those lessons are, and maybe that's the point. But if it's not, maybe I need to wait for, like, either I need to wait for a sign or I need to make my own sign. How would I know? Do I need, like, if there's not a specific amount of time I'm supposed to be waiting? Because the narrator said he was going to look for a door. And I guess I'm trying to follow my intuition here. I think I'm trying to say what I need to say to express my thought process so y'all understand why I'm still walking around in circles in this empty room when I'm pretty sure most people would have already hit the skip button. But I'm like, I want to consider my approach to this and why I'm making the decisions I'm making. And I think the point is that I'm supposed to hit the skip button because this whole thing is like designed around making choices, and one of them, it's either waiting or moving forward, and waiting is accomplishing nothing, so I'm going to move forward, and I'm going to feel bad as soon as he's like, where did you go?
Stanley!
God damn it.
Stanley, please don't push the button
Jesus.
again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting
Well,
longer.
that's 12 hours for you to find the door. Okay.
Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times, and there's no
And because
door.
this is like...
There's no door. There's just you and the button, and if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen. I have no idea how long I'll be made to sit here, and more than anything else, I don't know how to stop you from pressing the button again.
Stop worrying about me pressing the button.
I can't control anything in this room, Stanley. I can't touch it, and I have to believe, I have to know that sooner or later, no matter how much I plead with you, you're going to press the button again. Why
Maybe
not
the problem is that you believe I'm going to do that.
And I don't know what I can do to convince you otherwise.
Help me find a door?
God. And it's all because of those reviews. Those reviews that I couldn't get out of my head. I just couldn't ignore the negative feedback.
Correct.
Why was it so important for me to fix the problem? Why did Cookie
30
9
minutes to 12 hours. I know, that's what I'm saying.
I met Cookie 9. I have no idea who they are.
I wonder if Cookie 9 is like an actual like person who left a review, because that would be kind of funny. I feel like they are, probably.
Ever says about me, the merest mention of one of my imperfections, and I become as impetulant as a child, wild and impulsive. I can't help myself.
This
I
is
can't
how
stop
we
myself
grow.
from lashing out with a vengeful fury.
That is unhealthy.
To change and to break anything unbroken, if only it pleases this one person who made a single negative comment.
You know, I don't think you're the only person who feels that way.
For whose benefit is this? And here I am now stuck in a room, waiting for you to press this button.
I wonder if Cookie 9 has ever made any other Steam reviews.
And that I'm going to be stuck
Now they have like a Stanley related fan base.
prevented all from happening if only I'd held my tongue. It's all out of my control now. Just you. Just your decision as to exactly when you're going to make me suffer, to leave me all alone. Surely you will. I don't doubt it.
You know, if you would stop thinking like that, that wouldn't be the
Leaving me.
case.
And surely you'll put your own desire to see what's next ahead of my need for company, for companionship.
I'm right the fuck here,
Surely
dog.
you'll not be moved by my howls of fitful anxiety that you sit with me and just stay here. Oh, no, I know you too well. You'll
Clearly.
be leaving me. Oh, my God. And it's all because of those reviews. Those reviews that I couldn't
that's
get out of my
interesting.
head. I just couldn't ignore the negative feedback. Why was it so
I wonder if-
important for me to fix the problem? Why did Cookie Nine's opinion matter so much to me? I've never even met Cookie Nine. I have no idea who they are. What would it ever really matter?
It just reset?
Here I am. I'm fixating on every tiny negative thing that anyone ever says about me. The merest mention of one of my imperfections.
I'm gonna listen to this again. I know it's like not exciting or fun, but I'm gonna see if there's anything.
I can't stop myself from lashing out with a vengeful
Because this is a problem.
fury.
This is like a thing a lot of people need to work through.
Break anything unbroken, if only it pleases this one person who made a single negative comment. What does such an impulse serve? For whose benefit is this? And here I am now.
I think it's just the need to react and try to fix something because people want to be good. I think this is an impulse that's like a result of wanting to be the best version of yourself, but like acting a little too impulsively.
It's all out of my control now. Just you. Just your decision as to exactly when you're going to make me suffer, to leave me all alone. Surely you will. I don't doubt it.
Also, it's interesting because for the narrator, it's like,
Again, leaving me.
oh, I want to set you free so that you're not playing the game, but also, I want you to stay here with me so I'm not
My
alone.
need for company, for companionship. Surely you'll not be moved by my howls of fitful anxiety that you sit with me and just stay here. Oh, no, I know you too well. You'll be leaving me. Oh, my God.
He doesn't even finish saying it.
Because of those reviews. Those reviews
Why is
that I couldn't
that?
get out of
Why
my
don't you
head.
finish saying the thing?
Ignore the negative feedback. Why was it so important for me to fix the problem? Why did Cookie Nine's opinion matter so much to me? I've never even met Cookie Nine.
See, now this feels more like a situation where I need to break out of this because me being here is not helping him.
Here I am. I'm fixating on every tiny negative thing that anyone ever says about me. The merest mention of one of my imperfections.
Now I'm considering my relationship to the narrator as the player and what it means for both of us in this situation. Because this isn't healthy, and me being here isn't helping him. And this isn't me deciding to leave because I'm impatient. I'm leaving because this is not benefiting either of us.
Oh, Stanley, look back.
Holy shit.
Back. Oh my
Holy
goodness,
shit.
I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting
I got some
here
time to
with a
ruminate.
single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing.
It's different to have
Would
someone
you
there,
think
though.
that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening.
That makes
I
sense.
needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I needed.
The narrator's trying to
Not the
manipulate you into
outcomes,
staying
not
how
the
rude of
story.
him.
None of
Yeah.
that matters anymore.
I mean,
I'll give it all
there are
up.
people who
I'll
do
give
that
up
not because
every
they want
branching
to.
path. I'll
It's
burn
just
my
like
story to
the
ground. One single
human
thing
drive
I
for
need,
companionship
God,
and
I can
company
see now
is
that I
like a
need it
part of
more than
our
anything, is to know
wiring,
that
I think.
someone else is taking it in. These words that I'm saying, I need to know you can hear me. Because maybe, Stanley, maybe, if you can hear me, then maybe it means I'm real. Maybe I'm not just a fiction. Was I scared of that all along? Perhaps, yes. Perhaps I've been scared this whole time. That if I stop speaking, I'll slip backwards into the silence, be consumed by it.
I mean, I felt
I
that.
can't be taken by it, Stanley.
I just had a
lose
really
myself in the
horrible
state
experience that pushed me to confront it directly at an age that was too young for me to really properly deal with it.
There, but I knew
That's
you're
probably
so
why I have
tremendously
a
far
lot of
away. And in those
patience for this
moments,
shit.
Emptiness folds itself outward in between the two of us, and I am suspended in its unyielding.
Although I do feel like me talking over him is kind of defeating the purpose.
of my reality
So I feel kind of like an asshole.
Inward and decay. I can tell that I am becoming less and less real. Yet to speak to you now, I am alive. I am truly and completely here.
Ah, yes, the
I
human
am a
experience.
being. I am someone. I am something. I am being listened to. I am being recognized. The emptiness between us has collapsed, and I feel right now like I am not a work of fiction. I feel as though I occupy space in this world again, and I have cast a shadow onto the wall. You see what I'm saying, don't you? You can see what this means to me.
Yes,
I'm
that's
so
why I
clear
don't
about
like
it now,
clicking the
Stanley.
button.
I feel as certain about this as I've ever felt about anything at all. I feel renewed. I feel restored, and already I can sense the looming silence.
No, God
as you
damn it.
press the button for the next time. What a terrible dread it strokes in my heart.
Stop thinking about me pressing the button and then we can leave.
Such coldness. Come, let us sit in silence together here for just a moment. Let us anticipate it. Let us work
Okay.
it. Let us not run from it.
I'm gonna sit with the narrator for a minute because I think it will help, and then I will continue. I don't know, games like this to me are like a practice in patience that you can carry with you. Like, I think all games are kind of like, it's important what you play because what you play is teaching you something, and you will carry that into your everyday life and how you interact with other people and other entities. And it's like, yeah, no, I think I'm going to let the narrator talk, and I'm going to sit here and be patient, because then whenever I'm interacting with another human being, I'll carry this experience with me, and I will continue to be patient. What is that blinking light? What are you? What are you? Also, there's a ladder, and I want to climb it. This is why I want to build games that are like, what is it? Like simulators for living in a cashless society and constructing intentional communities and taking care of villages and stuff, because it's like, haha, now we're learning and also having fun. Okay, I think I'm just gonna I'm gonna go now before I start rambling about other stuff. Okay, he said we're welcoming it, so we're understanding that this is fine now.
Oh, hello, it's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time.
Yeah.
I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year?
No.
Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past. And when that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life.
It's meditation, baby.
Collapsed down into a single instant. In that instant, I could see myself clearly, calmly, with a collected heart. It was an impossibly rich wellspring of both delight and disgust simultaneously. I was consumed by it. I could do nothing but wallow in it for what felt like an eternity.
Time is
but
an
what I
illusion.
now know was far less. You see, it was a revelation for me. It was unlike anything I had ever known. It was a space without consequence, without action or outcome. It was divorced
There are people
entirely
talking
from
outside my
personal
window,
free
sorry.
will that you and I have squabbled over for so long. There could be no one ending, no singular outcome of events, not if all events existed in the same moment. And I felt free. I felt unburdened by the need to manifest a particular outcome into being. I saw that I could allow myself to exist along all timelines.
Yes.
And that each of them was simply a strand in the web of my being.
Right?
It was incredible.
It's very
The
nice.
spaciousness, the equanimity of the moment, both singular and infinite. For the longest time, this was my experience. And then, this moment passed, and the most unyielding fear I have ever known crept into my mind. And it is this sensation that I have been experiencing now for longer than I could have ever expected was possible.
The fear of
I have
existing?
been waiting for you.
Oh.
Not that you might save me or do something to fix it, but merely to state for you the plain fact of this manner of existence. I
Oh.
wish you to feel afraid as I do.
Why?
That perhaps one day this state of mind will consume
Oh, so you could be
as well.
understood.
Perhaps you will somehow, in some way, have to live as I do now, and I wish for you to know how excruciating it is, and for you to be in true terror of its eventual arrival. If I can only do this, only this one
Well, that's a very
thing,
negative
perhaps
thing
it
to
will
come away
bring
from
me
with
the
that.
smallest moment of peace in the darkness.
You know, Guy, you were so close to like a positive revelation with that. Why, you know, you could let the dark moment pass as much as you let the light moment pass. They kind of like interchange. You don't gotta be like, the light was here and now it's dark forever. It could be like, the light was here, the dark was here, the light was here, the dark was here, the light. That's the point. That's why time happens. That's why change is inevitable, and that is a good thing. Sit in your corner. Think about what you've said. I hear something. There are noises happening. I wonder if the narrator either doesn't care that I'm here, or he's like, I'm gonna not say anything and then you can see what it feels like to exist all by yourself. Joke's on you, I've already been thinking about that for almost 30 years. I actually used to walk in circles like this all the time when I was younger. Like I lived on like in the woods basically, and I would walk around in circles like this and just think for like hours. There was one time I went on a walk for like 6 hours outside just thinking like that. It was nice. There's the beeping thing I saw. Are you gonna make me like keep listening to the beeping? I don't like that. That's irritating. Oh, the clock fell from the wall.
Okay, get your ass out. Let's go have the rest of the show.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant
Oh,
to be
welcome
have a
back.
point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough.
Oh, just
They had
pacing
to
about,
leave a
so much better than
pathetic
just
little
standing.
thumbs
True.
down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability, it's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a review. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to freeze Stanley in place while the narrator sits there forever and ever. We want all of
someone
this
dropped
in the new
something
Stanley
outside.
parable. We demand it. And then, because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. The most immediate desires, every single thing demanded by every person at every moment in time. If someone wants it, then it's a crime not to bring it into being. Have we been given to indulging every fleeting whim for no reason other than to do so? Yes! Yes! It
Because the
seems
script
that
was
this is
written,
now
I am
the
here to
world we
listen.
live in. It seems that we are a people living
You have
in such
manifested me
bleakness and
listening to this-
discomfort with ourselves
to this
that our
monologue.
entertainment is now our lives. It has come to represent us. It absolutely must speak to who we are as people, because otherwise, without our entertainment, we have nothing. Without entertainment, we would have to face inward toward the cruel bleakness inside ourselves. We would turn to look at our deeper nature and find a resounding emptiness gazing back with unyielding aggression. And so because of this, we require that our amusements and our playthings and our flights of fancy be so impossibly captivating that they consume all of our attention, turn our heads completely away from the bleakness. In effect, we have demanded that our entertainment be the collapse of ourselves. What a pitiful reflection of humanity these entertainments are. What a shameful mirror to the human spirit they project. I'm not mad. I'm not mad about any of this. I'm at peace with it.
Oh, I can tell
am
by your
the
tone.
calm center of gravity around which these perversions
Mm-hmm.
hurl themselves. I am a waypoint for reasonable and collected discourse.
Sure.
They're the ones who are mad.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones who couldn't stand the idea of me using my game to try to say something. Maybe they were just jealous of me.
Oh.
Yes, of course. They've been jealous of me this whole
Sorry,
time.
this is
They
so
are mired in fear and
ridiculous.
insecurity. They cannot
No.
help but attempt to tear me down.
Yep.
What a sad state of affairs. When you read these reviews now, you can see it. You can taste the bitter resentment.
I'm sure that's true for some of them.
How good does it feel now to speak truth to these words, to finally allow these thoughts out, contained and managed for so long, neutered and sterilized. At last I am free to truly think, to feel. It must
Oh,
be.
this must have been
They
one
were
hell of a
so
journaling
discontent with
exercise.
themselves, they couldn't help but leave a negative review on Steam. Perhaps it says far more about
He's spitting
them
facts for
than
real.
it ever said about me.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps the state of their psychological being was in such tatters, and my constitution and willpower are so ironclad in comparison. Perhaps it was this state that they sought some outlet through which to tear me down.
Mm-hmm.
This, you can see, is clearly why they felt the need to expect that the game be funny, that it be filled with yucks and whimsical humor, that it amuse them.
I like that it sounds like the
endlessly
birds
from
outside are
start to
laughing.
finish. But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to
It can be
speak
both.
to the human condition.
Oh,
But
you've
where
restarted.
Are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned. They screamed. They gnashed their teeth and said, "Entertain us."
There's a lot
It
I'm
wasn't
thinking
enough.
about in
They
response
had
to this,
leave
but
a
I don't feel like now is the
little
time to
thumbs down
verbalize it,
review
so I'm just
and
going
make all of their
to...
pitiful demands, but
I hear... See, when I leave that space, I hear like a click almost. I don't know what that is. Wait? A raindrop? Something happened. I want to at least spend a couple of like seconds just letting what he was going through sink in, but also like mechanically allowing the game to know that I am doing that by going around in circles and just being like, hey, I am spending time considering this. Also, I guess that's kind of like 3 layers away from what they probably actually intended. I don't know. I'm kind of getting lost in the sauce with this. Give me a second. Yeah. Projecting. It happens back and forth. As soon as you observe it, you've created another projection. That's just gonna... That's what's funny to me. It's like, but they're the problem. It's like, even if that's true, just remember you saying that is creating another perspective. That's why thinking about what you're saying and what you're putting into the world is important. But not everything you put into the world is going to be perfect. Not anything you put into the world is going to be perfect. Recognizing that imperfection is important and just sort of using these opportunities to project onto each other and see ourselves in those projections as learning opportunities, I think, is the point.
the end is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end.
And that's a good thing.
Is never the end, 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 is never.
Is that the same?
Is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is
Yeah,
never
it's the
the
same.
end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is
Yeah,
never
it's looping. You good, bud? How's the existential crisis going? Doing alright? Wanna say... Oh! You're leaking a little bit, buddy. You wanna talk about it? No. Alright. I'm just gonna keep going then. Oh no. Friend, what has happened? Your ladder has fallen over. Alright, well, I'm gonna hit the skip button again. I think he got a little angry. That's fair. You know what? We all got some emotions to work through on our journeys to enlightenment and awareness. You alright? Everyone's on their own paths. It's okay. That's good. You know, symbolically speaking, I would think that the water was like the sadness and the grief, and then you're working through it, and now that's gone. Now you got the light coming through. That's a good thing. There you go. You're figuring it out, buddy. Oh, look. Now this is lovely. We're growing. We're healing. New life is sprouting from the remains of corporate, oh no, I had too many words come into my brain at once. God damn it. From the remains of corporate unfeelingness. There's another lack of sympathy, lack of care, I don't know. Emptiness. The lack of heart in corporate stuff. Shit. Alright, well, whatever, I tried. Goodbye. I'm embarrassed now. Oh, it's dark again. Oh, is this because I couldn't think of a clever way to say the thing I was trying to say? I wonder if there was a way to get out and I just was not aware of it. Oh? Oh, no, I think it's just nighttime. I see. Yeah, dark night of the soul. It happens. It happens. Yeah, we go through phases. It'll be alright. I know it's spooky scary. Oh. Oh, look at that. The skip button's done. Oh, beautiful. Sunlight. This is lovely. Freedom, but no more narrator. That's alright. He's around. He's just not talking anymore. Sometimes I think the narrator just goes quiet. Oh, and we're back in the office. Interesting.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
I like games as practices in meditation. I think it's pretty neat. I think it's a good way to help people reflect. Oh, new content. Whoa.
Oh, good. You notice my smile. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
I'm excited for the new content. Glad you made it through the existential crisis.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be.
Oh, you're still thinking of it as a disappointment.
It was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy.
No.
So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one
Oh.
step even further.
Oh,
Which
what
is
have you
why
done?
I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2.
Extra new content. Yippee. Oh, hello.
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience.
This is a really...
Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
The end is never the end again. I like that this feels like a way for them to be like, do we make a DLC or do we make a sequel? Both! Do both! Both is the correct answer. I think the devs were right. This is a genius move. 10 out of 10. I really do love this game.
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic
Feels like a reverse of how that
statement.
conversation probably actually went.
It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
I thought you didn't want long-term... I thought you said the game was perfect the way it was. What are you? I wonder what the conversations around this were actually like. I feel like I would have loved to participate in like the... I don't know. I guess it was probably one person writing it and then like other people doing the arts and the whatnot. I can't talk. I don't know why I'm trying. That's cute. Whoa, hang on. I want to look around some more. Give me a minute. Alright, I didn't need a minute. But now it's even more perfect. You're so right. More TSP. Better TSP. What is TSP? Stanley Parable? Okay. Paradigm shift. Synergy. Brick and mortar approach. Okay, but doing the same thing. That's... Oh, no. We're still using the whiteboards. The color red. Holistic value 1 to 2. This is hilarious. New content is out. New content part 2 is in. Old and busted. Boring section of the chart. Cool red section of the chart. The 2 doors are back, baby. I don't know why I'm getting a real kick out of this. Holy shit. I have seen... Sorry, I'm like flashing back to when I worked for a university, and I have seen so much money wasted on stupid shit. And this is like... Not saying that that's what this is. I looked at the tablet specifically, and I remembered what we were using the tablets for. And like how they were just like sitting and not really... I don't know. Like it's stuff like that. Like we would have all of these resources and all of them were being wasted, and that's just looking at the tablets made me think of that. Not this. This is not what that made me think of, or this is not what made me think of that. Just specifically this, and then also this is not a tablet. So I misunderstood the visual that I was seeing, and once again I've put myself in an awkward situation where I'm thinking about something entirely disconnected to this. Oh my god, the fern! I remember. What about the fern was important? I don't remember. Probably nothing. Except that it's a fern. See, the red box I didn't get. Oh, now there's 2 Stanleys. Well, that's exciting. Hearing a back and forth between Stanley and the narrator would be kind of entertaining for me.
I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely
The
game
sequel
will
to
sort
the
of
prequel to the
naturally
sequel to the
spring up
prequel.
around
Victory!
it. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical.
Who took the red marker? Me. I took the red marker. Go. So I wonder if this is a situation where I was like, oh, the Stanley Parable was so good, we have to make a sequel. We have to make more content because it's so hot right now. Everybody wants more of it. It's like, too bad. But they made more of it because, you know, there's always something more to make. The challenge is making it something worth making. But the team that works on this did a fucking phenomenal job of getting that to work. Because I'm getting a kick out of this and I enjoy it greatly. Hang on, wait. No, wait. I don't know. I don't want to get locked out. Shit. I guess I gotta make some choices. Oh, wait. Sequels are good. Portal 2, Half-Life 2, Batman, Arkham Asylum 2, City, Divinity, Doom, Aladdin. No! Aladdin 2 was the worst one! 3 was fine. Don't ask me why I have such like such an opinion on that. I don't want to talk about it. Valued investors. Oh, Jesus. We need new content because money for food? That's the difference, I think, is it's like, are you making content because there's more content to make and you have more to say and you want to expand on what you were saying in the first one? Or are you making it because you just need money to eat? Like, those things can coincide, and they do, but, damn, I wish they didn't have to. I wish people could just make shit because they felt inspired to and not because they felt like they needed to out of necessity. Everyone should be cared for properly so we can make the art we want to make instead of the art we're forced to make. Arkham Asylum 2.
Here we are. Go on. Try out some of the new features.
Oh, there's merch? This feels weird. Oh, why is there like a giant Stanley? This t-shirt is the best new feature. It's so funny because I bet that shirt now exists and there are people who wear it. It really is like you make something, you say something, you make something, it's like it exists now. It's just there. It's a part of our reality. I wonder if they'll have my name. No screenshots. Reassurance bucket. Oh, it's decorations. Infinite hole. Hang on. There's actually a lot I want to I want to look at all this stuff. The button that says the name of the player that is playing the game, the jump circle, the infinite hole. New features, new content, new ideas, consistent quality with just the right amount of change. The new updated ray traced, more of the same, but in a good way sequel to the... Jesus. The baby is all grown up. Oh my god, I never met the baby. I didn't meet the baby. I didn't get to that ending. What the hell is that noise? Red is the new orange. Oh, I see. A whole new office. Elias, please no screenshots. That's funny. Oh, epilogue. I don't want to go there yet. I want to hear my name in the game. I know it's not... It's
For the
funny
Stanley
because
Parable 2,
shit, I've made a decision.
what do players really want? And of course,
Fuck.
the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
I think we need to be able to follow. Maybe the reason we're seeking external validation so much and want to see ourselves represented in media is because we've forgotten how to recognize ourselves in media, and so now we want to be told that. But I think we've forgotten how to recognize it because the people around us are constantly invalidating our experiences and telling us that it's not us, even if we know it is us, because they've been taught the same thing. Anyway, I want to hear my name.
Jim.
That's not my name.
Right now, the button only says the name Jim.
Oh, shit.
But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim.
Hi, Jim.
I want you to imagine yourself
Oh.
as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim,
Ah,
falling in
I
love
see.
and being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim watching your dreams crumble into dust. Do you feel it deeply? Are you really, truly Jim right now? If so, then please step forward and press the button.
I'm Jim.
Jim.
Yes! You see? What a thrill! What a rush! That was you! The button described you. Do it again. Do it again.
Jim.
Ooh, it hits even harder the second time. If this were the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the Jim button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation. Whoa there, cowboy. Sometimes a person can be... I'm putting the Jim button away.
No, don't
Otherwise,
take it.
soon you'll start to lose all sense of who you actually are.
I'm Jim. That's a clever way to get people to reflect on that. I like that. Oh, the doors are open again. I'm allowed to leave now that I'm Jim and no one else. I've always been Jim. What is this?
Named Jim to play the Stanley Parable 2. That would actually save me the work of finishing this feature.
You can only play this if you're Jim. All of us must be Jim to fit into the cookie cutters that we're being told to fit into. Because then we will feel represented and validated. Even if it's a false sense of representation and validation. Feed us breadcrumbs of what it means to exist in the world. That's Jim. The button that says Jim. Oh god, why? I don't know why that just like... I have never said this phrase before in my life, but my brain said tickles me pink, and I'm like, I don't know what that actually means, but sure, that works.
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
Why is this such a hard decision for me to make right now? They're both funny for different reasons. I feel like I like this one because it's broad and it's widely applicable, but what would Jim choose? What would Jim's decision be? Actually, I think Jim would choose I want to choose this because I feel like it makes sense for me, but I want to see what happens if I choose this.
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Get well someday it is.
That's hilarious. Okay. That is the better choice. I'm here to help you realize what you actually want, I guess. Oh, there we go.
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision. We're moving on.
That's new. I already looked at all this stuff. I do want the reassurance bucket, but I feel like if I go that way, I'm making a commitment. Oh, there's so much stuff to look at. Ah, god damn it. How dare you give me so many choices and things to do. Jem likes the color white, I think. It's a very bright color. Alright, you know what? Fine. I made the decision to go this way. I'm gonna stick with it. It just works. Get it here. Give me achievement. Pull the lever, receive. No more. It just works. Okay. Am I...
Here's something special.
This is like the sketchiest shit.
Achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that. Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
Very silly. Respect. Very silly. I respect the silliness. It just works, except that it doesn't.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
Oh, that's gonna be a whole adventure. Hang on. I'm doing the little bits at a time first. There's an exit. Sure, let's do the jump circle that I already started, and I didn't finish that, actually. What is this? He looks fucking miserable, Jesus Christ. Oh my god. Ah, I see it's still at 28.
I actually think the jump circle was a pretty good idea. I'd like to hang on to that for the sequel.
This map. Free achievement button. This is the name of the merch setting. Settings world champ. What the hell does that mean? What does that mean? Oh, I can't read maps. My brain won't let me. Stanley for office decorations, epilogue, collectibles, infinite hole exit. Okay, so sure. It won't end. Distant future, distant space-time, distant past. Whole like infinity, time like infinity, space like infinity, time deeper. Rim, depth, infinite, surrounding area, opening. Why am I saying this out loud? I don't know. I guess that's how I understand stuff better, is if I verbalize it. Ah, yes, I see where infinity is. That makes sense. The question marks are also helpful in understanding how this works. It just keeps going. Yeah, that makes sense. It's like the deepest well.
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game.
Oh.
This is in fact a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you've just lowered the roof on it? Interesting. That really do be looking like the deep as well. Goodbye. Oh, it's like the rabbit hole from Alice in Wonderland.
Wonderful. One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward. Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things.
I mean, you said this was infinite, homie. I ain't got nothing to worry about. This is a meditation exercise.
Okay, Stanley. I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole.
What?
Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity.
Oh, there it goes. It got farther away. It gets closer.
The infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheater.
Meeting
You're
at
so
2
clever.
p.m. Okay, you don't gotta get, like, defensive about it.
Unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to...
Can't believe you lie about the hole like that. I know, what the hell? We have a relationship built on integrity. What is this shit?
Put this on me. Maybe you're... Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why
What the
don't we
fuck,
just
narrator?
put this behind us and agree to just call the whole mostly infinite. If that works for you,
Every pause
go ahead
button
and press the
is a
tick.
Roman numeral
Walk
2.
up to
Oh
the top of
shit.
the hole.
I thought that said ramen
I'll
numeral.
just be up here when you're ready.
Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Oh, meeting at 2 p.m. I understand now. It's because there's a 2. It's because 2 p.m. Ha 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 ha.
Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel.
Oh god. I do want to keep falling down the hole. I do want to keep falling down the hole. Mostly because I know it's going to irritate him and I want to see what he says and I don't know what that says about... One more time.
Oh, fuck. I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much. A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there. Goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of...
Oh, it got shorter.
Did the hole seem even shorter to you this time?
That's because now I've experienced the distance.
A little less time in there than you did before. I mean, admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole. I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above.
Nice little minute. I feel like someone's been taking like coffee breaks down here or some shit. There's a bunch of cigarettes on the ground. And a mug. That or people are using this as a garbage, which is not cool. This is gonna build up, and it's gonna become a problem. Somebody needs to clean up this hole.
Had enough? I'm positively thrilled.
See, why would you ask me
I
that?
have so much more to show you and to talk about, and I've had enough of the hole for a lifetime.
Why? Does it make you self-conscious? Does the hole make you self-conscious? Narrator, does the hole make you self-conscious?
Gosh, how could I... If this starts to become a thing that...
Look, see, now it's shorter.
Okay, yeah. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite.
There you go. We're getting accustomed to the fall.
To hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability and marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something.
We're getting accustomed to it.
To the top and we'll see if it gets any shorter.
When you become familiar with the infinite,
Oh,
it's
there
less
it is.
intimidating.
The shape
Whoa!
of my lie has come to haunt me. Not only is the hole not infinite, but it's barely even a hole at this point. It's more of a concavity, or even a very aggressive divot. How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh, who am I to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here to do and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on.
I'm here to allow you to contemplate why you had a fear of this infinite hole to begin with. Oh.
Is the teleport
Uh-oh.
button not working? You sure? Well, I mean, I really don't have an explanation. It was working just a moment ago.
Are you bullying me? Let me out of the hole.
Still nothing? Well, I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix
You
this.
could let me out of it.
I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley. You couldn't bear to be away from the hole.
Oh.
And now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for. It's a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole. I get to do literally anything else.
I thought you wanted to show me around. What is
Yes,
this
Stanley.
shit?
I hope you and the hole have a wonderful rest of eternity.
That's rude. That's rude. Oh. Oh. Something's happening. What's happening? Oh! Narrator, look what you've done! Oh, now I get the secrets. Oh, this is so dramatic. Oh my god. And we sink. Oh.
Stanley? Stanley? Stanley?
Oh.
Oh, good, you're awake. It seems you had sort of dozed off.
Oh shit, I was
drifting away into dreamland.
having a good time with that.
We can't have that, Stanley.
What?
Because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really
That's a dick move.
focused on the hole?
It's kind of a dick move, narrator.
You and I will have many, many years here in this hole, and I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley. I'll be back. Toodaloo.
Anyway, I'm gonna go back to jamming with that. That was sick. Ah. That's fair. Oh, we're back here. Cool. There's more
Here
to
we
explore.
are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
I think the narrator's jealous that I just know how to enjoy myself. Mostly infinite hole. It's barely... Alright, well... I'm gonna get the reassurance bucket.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try. Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on and on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
I'm bringing it with me. It's my friend now.
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
What have I not done yet? If this feels like I'm at an amusement park and I'm like, what the hell do I need to check off my list? Aw, man, I'm not going to be able to afford to go to Halloween Horror Nights this year. God damn it. Oh well, that's fine. Map. Button. Merch. Settings World Champion. I don't understand what that is. And I can't understand... I know it says I'm here at 5. I don't understand maps. I was born in a labyrinth. I can't help it. Reassurance officer. Epilogue, collectibles. Okay, let's do collectibles. This bucket stays with me.
Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
What is... Yo, that's terrifying. What the fuck? Gimme. Oh. Got very dark. Did not like that. Nothing to do. Okay.
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
I guess I gotta go to the epilogue now. I don't know why that makes me think of those memes where it's like, or maybe specific, like it's like the memes, but also specifically the one video with that guy who's like, "Who do you have a crush on?" I think this one girl's cute, and the other guy's like, the Epcot ball, and then he's just thinking about the Epcot ball. I don't know why people listen to me talk sometimes. I think this is the Apple. Brain, can you like operate? Thank you. Not the correct place. Well, maybe this will take me there faster. Okay, this is my reassurance bucket. Where was the epilogue? I think was over here. Maybe right here.
An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, yes, it would go at the end of the... well, we'll figure that out later.
Big car outside. I'm in a hole. Fine, it ended. Oh, settings world champion. There we go. Do I gotta do this? Oh, interact additional. What? Oh, interesting. Huh. Curious about that. That didn't do nothing. Let me in. Alright, well, I don't know what to do about all that. Alright, well, I have my bucket. I'm good. If I don't know how to do a thing, I'm gonna just accept that I don't know how to do a thing, and the universe has decided I don't know it for a reason. I'm not gonna worry about it. It's not part of my journey.
All right. Have you seen everything you wanted to?
I guess.
Ready to move on now?
I have my bucket. If I need to, I can come back. I feel like I've gotten what I need from the experience, I think. Was there anything else? I still have jumps. I feel like I want to keep jumps.
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2. I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on, let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley?
The jump circle
This
is now
isn't
the
a
infinite
full-blown
hole.
video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With
Oh, you mean like a DLC?
with care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could, but it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2." Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
What is a reticle? Oh, that's what that is. Actually, you know what? I do want that. I guess I can crouch. Anyway, I know that was not the... Anyway, moving on.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for
Balloons!
a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at
Sorry, I
his
keep
desk
moving around in my
at
chair.
427, and he pushed buttons on a keyboard.
I also put the chair
Orders
together.
came to him through a
That's
monitor
why it's so
desk,
creaky.
telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-winning, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest
Is there something
time.
underneath the desk
But as he came
providing
to his wits and regained
something
his
materials?
senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Oh, that's just the thing I keep seeing on the other desk too. Okay.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a
I should have had this reticle up the whole
No matter
time.
how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
You shouldn't leave your computer on. The bucket!
Stanley picked up the bucket.
Yes. This is my friend now.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Wow. That's what that door sounded like.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers.
Oh, now I get to go through this with bucket commentary. Yes! This is what I'm here for. Profits, business, money, sacrifice? Did I say sacrifice? Statistics. Oh shit. Anyway. Oh, the broom closet. We've returned.
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy. It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend.
Yes, correct.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs
Yes,
to the
this is my
boss's
bucket.
office.
Kind of wanted to hear the rest of that dialogue. My bad. Didn't realize it. Hello.
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done.
It's so funny because if I get a reward, that would be fucking hilarious to me.
So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
Alright. Oh, this door's locked now? Son of a... Alright.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human.
That's okay, I have my bucket.
Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire, if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him, always. The bucket would. And he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845. Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck.
It's because I have my bucket with me.
The bucket knew all along. Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation. Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, you know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini-Stan? Or what about Stanlerine?
I don't know, I like mini stands.
Another Stanlerine under your belt.
I think I want to save like the happy ending for
The
like
elevator
before
raced
I
downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket.
end playing this
Soothing
round.
him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
What is that, a whip whip? I still don't understand what this is. If it's anything. Wait, no. I want to do the thing again where you take me to do the stage.
Wait, Stanley said to the bucket. Can we go back up? When I was pressing those keypad buttons, there was something very intriguing about the number 3. I want to go back so I can try pressing the number 3 again. The bucket said nothing.
I do want to see what happens if I press the number 3 now.
Here we are, said Stanley. Now I'm going to try out that number 3 button. He took the bucket over to the keypad and began absolutely slamming on the number 3 over and over and over. Well, he said, the number 3 is such a special button. I'm having the time of my life. Stanley looked expectantly at the bucket, but the bucket remained silent. This was a shock to Stanley, who had always felt such a connection with the bucket. How was this not as exciting to the bucket as it was to him? Once Stanley had had enough of the number 3, he got back in the elevator.
Oh, whoops, I hit 2. Okay.
Perhaps the bucket had missed something. Perhaps it had
Don't-
not seen how much
don't
joy
project
Stanley
yourself
got
onto
from
me in the
slamming
bucket.
number 3 repeatedly.
The narrator wouldn't
Dread
understand.
nagged in the back of Stanley's mind. Should he demonstrate the number 3 for the bucket again? No, said Stanley to the bucket. You can't go on yet. Not till you understand how much the number 3 means to me. You and I have been through so much together, and I just want you to see what I see. Feel the happiness I feel. He smiled at the bucket, and the bucket said nothing. Here we go, said Stanley. This time I'll really show you. He ran to the number 3 and began to wail on it like a musician on a beloved instrument, weaving a concerto of truth and passion. He wielded the number 3 like a fine artist would wield a paintbrush. He told stories through the number 3, stories of his dreams and hopes and fears. And the whole time, he looked to his bucket for a reaction of some kind. Anything to let him know that the bucket appreciated what he was doing.
No, that's not why I'm doing
The
this.
bucket conveyed absolutely nothing at all, only silence. Crushed by a wave of dejection, Stanley returned to the elevator. Stanley and the bucket were so close, they'd always been there for one another. Why suddenly could the bucket not connect with this passion of Stanley's? The question caused Stanley to ruminate the whole way down the elevator. He knew that there must be a way to get through to the bucket, to communicate fully with his dear friend. Surely there was a solution, mustn't there be?
Bum bum bum.
Said Stanley. I know how to fully express this feeling in my heart. He decided right then and there that he would hold a press conference where he would speak to the public on all matters relating to pressing the number 3 over and over. He would elaborate fully on what the number 3 meant to him and why he felt so alive when pressing it. Then the bucket would be able to see his joy through the eyes of others. It would get to see the world react to this discovery of Stanley's. And it would be through the public eye that the bucket would finally understand Stanley's work.
It did take me back to this space. Interesting.
For months, he advertised and marketed his press conference, building excitement around it, developing and rehearsing it, until it couldn't be refined a single measure further. When the big day arrived, Stanley was as prepared as he'd ever been for anything in his life.
Oh, is this the one that did the scooping and it was like, it was bleeding and, oh, that was sad. Three. Oh, we go from 2 to 3. This makes sense. 3.
This was it. One last chance to win the bucket over. One opportunity to share a true connection with a loved one.
3 again, jiggity jig.
There was no one here.
Oh.
Nobody had come to the press conference to hear Stanley speak, to listen to him talk about what it really means to press the number 3 on a keypad over and over. He was unloved, uninteresting, he was a failure, and in that moment Stanley knew that the bucket would never again take him seriously.
Oh,
There
what?
would be
That's
no
cruel.
connection, no deeper understanding. The bucket merely sat there in his arms, indifferent. And so it began that slowly, over many years, the two of them grew more and more distant. They spoke less and less, neither wishing to state the obvious, that any sense of real respect between them had eroded since that day at the press conference.
Good Lord.
There'd be no more games, no more long conversations about passion and pursuit, only a silence that consumed the space between friends. And Stanley, having for once in his life discovered the warmth and comfort of true companionship, was cast back into the unremarkable normalcy of loneliness.
That's dark. That's not nice to Stanley. There was some kind of dialogue I didn't get to read.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Narrator just did that because narrator was salty I wasn't listening. Figurine Finders Committee. Bucket.
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him.
It's my buddy.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
Oh, you're using the bucket to try to justify my weird actions. Okay, I see.
And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. No, never mind. The bucket was
No.
Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there.
Why are you giving him that voice? Funny, funny, funny.
Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Yes. Yep, I'm definitely still up there. Danger everywhere.
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, "No buckets past this point."
Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket.
Oh.
Please, step in here for a moment.
Oh, interesting. Okay. What are we doing in here? Is this a bucket?
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Well, then none of them are going to be buckets.
Item 2. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
It's still a bucket.
Item 3. Is this a bucket? Correct.
Yay.
This is a bucket.
Does it believe itself to be a bucket?
Item
Whoa.
4. Is this a bucket?
Is there a version of this that could be referred to as a bucket in a specific, like, context? Like a bit?
Correct. This is a tractor
Okay.
and not a bucket.
I don't think I've ever
To be
heard anyone
honest,
refer to a
I just
tractor
sort of
as a
put this
bucket.
one in here as a gimme, but I was starting to get concerned that even this might be too much for you. Thank you for not making me look like an idiot. Okay, next one. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. This is a bucket.
What?
Item 6. Is this a bucket? Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
This is and is not a bucket. Is this a pipe?
Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere.
Don't take mine.
Okay, you and I both know there isn't anything here. And I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something. And therefore nothing could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a bucket?
Nothing is a bucket.
You know what? I'm too I've lost all sense of perspective. What
Yeah,
is a bucket?
welcome to
What
my
isn't
world.
A bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry.
You are a
I'm
bucket.
going to erase all buckets.
No!
Okay, here we go.
No! I'm gonna fight the narrator.
What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait,
Because everything's a
was
bucket.
Everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket. Oh my god, I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. we're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game.
It's because you deleted
So,
it.
tell you what, I'll reset everything. We'll put back all of the buckets, okay?
Yay.
And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person. All right, here we go.
What?
All of his co-workers...
Ah, shit, I meant to look around.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was.
This actually makes me want to drink more
How
coffee.
insightful the bucket turned out to be.
You know, out of all the things I miss about being in like a sort of routine situation, I think just drinking coffee and talking to people is the main thing I miss.
Truly, being here with the bucket was a grand adventure. Stanley reflected on all they'd been through together. First, walking through the door on the right, then walking to the lounge, then arriving at the lounge. What a thrilling journey the bucket had inspired. Perhaps this was where the bucket felt most truly at home, here in the employee lounge. Perhaps it's the only place a bucket can even feel at home. Stanley decided to just give the bucket absolutely as much time as it needed to be in the lounge. Clearly, the bucket and the employee lounge shared a special connection.
Weep, weep, weep. Good? Okay.
But finally, the bucket was done being in the lounge, and they took the first open door on their left to get back to business.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. A cargo lift, yes. Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Carrying out a mission for the
Stanley
bucket.
did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket
Well, I'm thinking
asked.
about it.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
There is no dark room. There is only this bright room. Employees should never, under any circumstances, attempt. Yep, gotcha. Oh, that dark room. Whoa.
Now pick up the phone.
Said the bucket.
Pick up the phone, and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
This is a nice house, actually. I don't see my bucket, though. Where the hell's my bucket? I like... Oh, there's my bucket. It's me, your bucket.
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head.
Oh, am I supposed to seek out the bucket? Where's the bucket? Oh, it's right there. My bucket.
Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object?
No.
I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me.
Just let him enjoy his bucket. What's the big deal? If the bucket's not being malicious or some shit, I don't see what the issue is.
Well, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think, it can't talk. All it would ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else.
Don't listen to the loud man.
You see?
Are you upset because Stanley's happy?
Taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he
Yeah.
took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal.
Don't be mean to the bucket. Okay, well maybe not that. That's not good either. I don't want to ignore everyone. Hold up. This is projection from the narrator. This is not the reality of the situation in my mind.
I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it.
You're as real as the narrator is. And his reality is confusing.
Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average
Oh, no.
hardware store bucket. It's
No.
just a little more, what am I trying to say?
Oh no.
Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another.
Oh, look at the buckets. That's cute.
Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
To try to understand. Probably. I don't know, some people just like have comfort things. I don't think that's a bad thing.
No. I'm having feelings.
Oh no.
What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do everything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes.
No.
The bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation.
Get your own bucket.
Stanley, give me the bucket.
No.
Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give it or I'll...
That was actually a little unsettling.
All of his co-workers were... Wait, no. This isn't the right office, is it? Is this Stanley's office? Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. Truly, being here with the bucket was a grand adventure. Stanley reflected on all they'd been through together. First, walking through the door on the right, then walking to the lounge, then arriving at the lounge. What a thrilling journey the bucket had inspired. No, never mind.
Oh, no, I didn't want you to say
The
that.
bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
Here we go.
Oh, good Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place
Oh.
eventually.
Oh. This is a bucket intervention.
You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first
I never
game,
even met this
the
one.
Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it. Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well.
Oh, God, no. Let me turn this down just a smidge so it's not coming through my headphones.
Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all
I can
those
do this
great
and still have
jokes
my
from the
bucket. I
original
don't understand what the
dialogue?
problem is.
Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans.
I didn't even
Stanley.
get to
Let's
that.
give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
No. Gave me the bucket, now you're mad that I'm enjoying my time with a bucket? What the fuck it?
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket.
No.
That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me, it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree?
No.
Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready. Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable
I'm more concerned about what would drive you to create that.
If you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The broom closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and...
Well, that was a you problem. Oh my god.
Destroyer, my prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
You created that character out of malice and envy. For the thing that you created that was supposed to provide companionship and solidarity. What the fuck? People are wild.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
Whoa. Okay, hello. Warehouse access, produce one. I would also, I do the same thing. Accidentally write it, and then it's like, I forgot a letter, whoops. Produce one plank to allow ease of access past fence. Construct bridge to allow collection of shiny float. Retrieve Chris's remains from the warehouse Chris, no! Construct a new structurally sound bridge. We need more planks. Trust the completionist instinct. Why wouldn't they just tell us something will happen? This investigation in this room, they feel pointless, to be honest. Weird spinning figurines. Magic? Why floating? Dreams? Magnets? Can we sell them? Employee 421 building a bridge. Listen, I know I write down a bunch of useless shit. I'm not gonna stop. I've decided it's a character trait for myself now. Potential liability, what do they want? Should we make them employees? Interns? Yes. Why do they kind of look like 427? How many are there? More money if sold together. How do we need... Do we need contracts for them? Potential liability, NDA, bonus stuff. What we know, what we forgot, what we don't know yet. If the center is to ensure the retrieval. How can you tell you spot on? What makes them float in the air? Who took these pictures of them? Maybe we are the collectibles. By employee 416. Oh! Source of levitation. That looks like a... I'm sure, like, I don't know... I'm sorry, I've been, like, Homestuck memory stuff lately. And that just makes me think of Sweet Bro and Hella Jeff. I'm sorry. Do not leave the office before reporting back on any new findings. Teamwork and communication are of great importance during this unprecedented time of investigation. Where are they? Alright. There will be a reward for finding them all. Lies. Who are you? 666 lol. There will be cleaning of this wall required. Stop kidding yourselves. I want them so much. I want to go home. Looks like 427. Aw. Why are they so mean? Damn. 5 there be. Just take it from me. Gotta collect them all. Places to search. Oh, are these the places I've already looked? That's kind of cool. Is some kind of game? There must be a point to this. Inside a sequel, nearby fireplace, a private but smelly place for an important person. Oh, the bathroom. A large room, lots of boxes, stairs, something to do with stairs, something both red and blue, so purple? Beware the false prophet. Wait, what? What does it say? Something sexy, something... Collecting is sexy, that's what it says. Oh, so there's a fake one. That's funny. Successful workplace investigation. Decide whether to investigate if necessary, take immediate action, choose an investigator, plan the investigation, conduct interviews, gather documents, clues, evidence, evaluate documents, clues, evidence, take action, document, print list. Oh, they went crazy with this. Files confident? Oh, F files. I thought it was like a stutter. Maybe Stanley actually got raptured and is like seeing the evidence of the people still here, but is on a different dimension or some shit. I don't know. Seems about as plausible as anything else.
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it?
I'm not dealing with the broom closet.
It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy? It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. No. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk?
Oh,
It has
what?
to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket.
Why are you being so rude?
Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined.
Oh.
And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends? That
Blasphemy.
your relationship is purely superficial and convenient?
I'm gonna
That
fight
your
this broom
life is
closet.
so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand
Stop.
on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point.
I don't need to do that to
Share
justify
your
my
general
connection.
entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it.
That's my private information. What happens between me and the bucket is between me and the bucket. I don't need to justify shit.
Okay, coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
A collectible.
Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies.
Figley sounds a little too close to
What
fugly.
name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
I liked mini stands. I thought that was cute.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fined for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then, something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself,
I want to see how this ends now that I have my
am
bucket
crazy.
friend.
He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort.
Aw.
And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come
No,
from
my
this.
bucket!
Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. Now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me! The bucket!
Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley! Find me!
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along.
I'm a bucket now.
Incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
Oh, do I still die?
This is the story of a woman
Aw.
named Daniela.
I think the bucket should have been a grounding
Daniela
experience.
woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work.
Oh no, she is a bucket.
But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew.
Wait, did he collapse and then die, or did he die and then collapse?
Had no bucket. Of course, he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him.
I did, and then you took it
Perhaps
away.
He didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life is this. And she backflipped all the way to work.
That's so stupid. Holy shit.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
The good old bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket. Off on another thrilling adventure together.
It's my friend. My friend comes with me. I thought the broom closet thing was done, but I guess there was more dialogue, so I'm gonna pop back into that really quick.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Yeah, alright, a large room, lots of boxes, somewhere both red and blue, purple.
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy? It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give it. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom
I don't know
closet
why
is
I'm
putting on
like
your shoulders
assigning
right
this
now,
broom
but you
closet a
are strong.
Muppet voice with
This
a
is your
high
bucket.
pitch
This
thing.
is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh, no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends? That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards
Yeah,
any
theoretically
inanimate
speaking,
object
you could
which
apply
happened
this
to lay in
logic to
your
literally
path in an
any,
even
like,
partially
relationship of
enticing manner?
circumstance that
Well,
comes
I
up and then
never.
becomes meaningful.
Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments.
Everything is
Expand
random.
on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it. Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all. Here we go. There. Now
Yay!
it's settled. No more debate, no more discussion. Take a hike, broom closet, with all your meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things.
Are we good now?
All right, I've got a second sticker back here, and I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate. You see, I feel that it works because the sticker is also a bucket. That way, if you're ever unsure whether the thing you're holding is a bucket or not, you can look down at this sticker and say to yourself, "Oh, it's a bucket." There really is a wide variety of applications for this sticker.
Gonna cover my bucket in stickers.
You know what? I could take the name-calling and the dismissal of your kinship with the bucket, but now the broom closet is just giving us a silent treatment. And to be honest, I'm sick of the pettiness on display. You can stay here all you like, but I've had it with this impetulant room of cleaning supplies. Easily the most childish such room I've ever been in. I'll see you outside, and we can get on with the story about you and your bucket.
Are we good? Are we over the broom closet now? Alright, we're over the broom closet now. I like the stickers.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Yes, this opens now. That's a panda, isn't it? That's very sad. Is this gonna take me anywhere? Oh, someone's saying Stanley parable. That's funny. Okay, this don't take me nowhere. Just a waste of my goddamn time.
Stepping into the manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire, if not for the soothing presence of the bucket.
I do this faster, but I genuinely
His
keep forgetting what
darkest
the
of
passcode
eyes
is.
Did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce? But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Oh, this got walled off. Or maybe it always was and I got confused for a second. That happens a lot.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death. The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
Beep. Oh.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be.
Rude.
To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end, as it was crushed violently to death. It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
No, my bucket! I guess I could read this out loud. You are standing at the precipice of knowledge, much like a bucket itself. The human mind is frequently empty within a cavernous void. Or is frequently empty within a cavernous void. This is why I don't read shit out loud. But through use of the exhibit in front of you, the mind becomes full and enriched and substantial. Knowledge of the bucket and its history is the only true knowledge we really have. Will you take what you learn here with you, or will you take what you learn here out with you into the world? Will you accept an open mind that what may be challenging about the information in this exhibit? Will you challenge the lives of yourself and your loved ones as a result of this exhibit, or will you turn a blind eye and continue to live as you were in ignorance and darkness? Good question.
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own?
Oh.
Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
Oh. Photograph of 25 buckets, the greatest number of buckets ever captured on camera. The photographer experienced catatonic shock for several weeks as a result of the euphoria from exposure of this many buckets at once. Jesus, that's more than 25. That's definitely more than 25 buckets. A bucket with 2 handles. Damn. This bucket is depicted with having 2 handles. Such a design has never been created in real life, having been deemed too dangerous and recklessly experimental. Every year, dozens are put to death just for attempting it. Oh. It's so quiet in here. Oh, whoops, I went back to the beginning again. I do that a lot. A bucket. The Inferno bucket. A replica of the Inferno bucket, which, in the medieval era, was so powerfully alluring that it drove dozens of nations to war with one another for control of it. Billions died, and yet in spite of it all, the simple fact remains no one can control a bucket. Alright. Oh! Cave drawing. While we know that buckets predate the existence of mankind, we do not know by how long the cave drawing depicts early man's discovery of the practical uses of the bucket, by which time the bucket had already likely been around for several millennia. Notice in these drawings how the bucket is allowing itself to be used, having judged humanity to be worthy of its treasures. Oh, look at the little deer with the bucket. That's cute.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one.
Oh, hang on, I think there was more.
It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
Okay. Got you. I'm still looking at stuff. The stress bucket an analogy. Worrying, negative forecasting, negative thinking, lack of reassurance, vulnerability, size and strength of the bucket. Stress, the level of water in the bucket. Coping strategies, holes. Rest and relaxation, doing something you enjoy, rest and relaxation. Presented without commentary. Huh. Wait. Oh, I think there's just the one way to go. Whoops. Whoops. What's over here? It's all blue. The hanging bucket. Oh, this piece symbolizes the necessary relationship between bucket and humanity. However clear a grasp of the bucket may be, there is yet more that is always out of reach. This distance inevitably is for our own good. Am I supposed to jump? I'm gonna try get it, and then I'm gonna fall in the hole. Oh my god, I got the bucket!
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let let Stanley die. Let him be crushed
Whoa.
by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler. As
Jesus
leader, as
Christ.
commander of a new world, a new vision.
Oh, whoops. I meant to hit. Well. That's okay. I made a mistake. I meant to hit begin again, not resume. That was my bad. Whoops.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
The end is never the end,
Stanley
is never the
decided to
end,
go
is
to
never
the
the end,
meeting
is never the
room.
end.
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Is it because I died?
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of
People
his
are
co-workers.
pissed that I am with this bucket. Jesus Christ. Also, before that person was helping me. Now the voice got issues with
Where are
me.
we going today? The bucket asked. Stanley just smiled. Anywhere they went together would be perfectly fine with him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
I like the mystery music.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Beep.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
Mutual support.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof.
the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system. When at last they came to the source of the room's power, Stanley and the bucket knew it was their obligation to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for. Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it.
Hooray.
Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support, and... Well, wait, what was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave.
No!
Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No, no, no. Stanley can't leave this place, not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms, not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room, but at least he has the bucket.
What the fuck?
To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
What? What? That's some malarkey. I want a good ending with my bucket. What the hell is this?
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they were. Just a matter of time.
A good bucket, a strong bucket, a humble bucket, a committed bucket, a bucket of culture and distinction. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
How the hell do I get out of here with the bucket? I can't remember all the stuff I've done. I'm gonna start repeating myself.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
I was wondering if maybe I could sneak out. Got the feeling money's for stealing, but not yours, of course. See, that's the lovely purse. Oh, okay. Ha 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 ha. Ha.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death. But of course, Stanley and the bucket thought better of it and realized they simply had too much to live for. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. But just as Stanley was about to proceed further into the mind control facility, he tripped and fell over the railing and into the dark void below. Thankfully, he fell directly onto the bucket, which safely cushioned his fall. Now, what to do next, Stanley wondered. Stanley and the bucket could find no way out of this enormous pit, and so eventually they decided that the best thing to do would be to simply get comfortable down here. So they set up a little couch and relaxed. It really wasn't so bad down here, a bit cold perhaps. After some time had gone by, they installed a few shelves as well, and a sort of kitchenette that was useful for when the bucket was craving the
This is so
but it
cute.
wasn't until the rugs and the standing lamps came in that it really started to feel like a home. In fact, after some time, Stanley realized that it had been ages since he had even thought of the mind control facility at all. He'd never gotten to fully explore what was up there, never been able to unearth the many mysteries of the mind control facility. This lack of closure began to eat at him. Soon he was dwelling on his regrets, and the state of their home slowly decayed as Stanley became withdrawn and neglected the cleaning. It unsettled the bucket deeply.
Oh
Stanley
no.
wasn't usually like this. The bucket tried to reach out to him again and again, but to no avail. All Stanley could think about, all he could talk about, was going back, doing it over again, staying on the path. It was a mistake to leave the path. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. I need to do what the narrator says. I need to see the true ending. This made no sense at all to the bucket, which was simply trying to live its life down here as comfortably as possible. Yet Stanley was inconsolable. This isn't an ending. This is just a hole in the ground. The bucket sighed. True, it wasn't an ending. But it's where we happen to be. And maybe, possibly, if we accept the reality of things, maybe this will become an ending eventually. It's what the bucket was counting on. The two of them waited for a very long time.
Oh. Oh. Okay. Hello, my bucket.
Ah, the embrace of an old friend, a weathered companionship that stands the test of time. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Bah.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the... But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. Monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter, his one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good.
I don't know how to get up there. I feel like there must be a way.
Stanley and the bucket up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
Damn, I wish I could change the lighting because I really can't see anything. I don't know if that's the point, but it annoys me. Maybe there's something down here. I haven't really explored this place that much, but it didn't feel like one of those places that would have had. Ironically, this, in a general sense, in another context, I would think this was the thing to explore the most. This just doesn't speak to me in that same way. Maybe I just need to not hit this too soon.
When at last they came to the source of the room's power, Stanley and the bucket knew it was their obligation to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Maybe I needed to approach that in a different way.
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support. What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No, no, no. Stanley can't leave this place, not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms, not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room, but at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
That did not work the way I wanted it to.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
The bucket made Stanley want to be a better man and a better co-worker. In time, perhaps, he would become both of those things. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was it... No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room. and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door. Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining stickers. If I did, you can guarantee we'd be in here for hours. But alas, no stickers. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Yeah, I wanted to see. Maybe that would do anything. Right.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death. The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into
Hello,
a
I'm back. Sorry, my internet was being awful.
for each of
Fuck,
them.
is so cool. Oh, thank you. Also, it's okay. Sorry your internet was not being super great. I'm trying to figure out how to escape with my bucket, actually. It turns out people are not pleased with me and my bucket.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, But what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
It almost happens, but this other
Farewell,
narrator stops
Stanley,
it from
cried
happening.
the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single
How could they hate your
visceral
bucket? That's so
instant,
rude. I
bucket's
think
life
it's either
came to an
people
end
hate the
as
bucket
it was
because
crushed
I like it so
violently to
much,
death.
or people hate me because the bucket is because I have the bucket. Or
It
I
was
don't
a
know.
shame,
It's
the
very
death of such a
bizarre.
magnificent bucket.
The narrator
It's
seems
true
to
that all
dislike the
buckets
bucket,
rage into
and
their
this
own
narrator,
way,
the second
but
narrator,
this
seems to
one
dislike me
stood
for having
above
it.
the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
And the broom closet doesn't like that I have the bucket. People need to mind their own
Can you
business.
see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
It's interesting. Sounds like they're jealous. That's what I'm saying. It's
No
like,
man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one.
I
It is
don't own
man
the
who
bucket.
should kneel before
The bucket doesn't own me. We're friends. We're companions. The necessary relation. You don't get to decide what kind of relationship I have with my bucket. I decide what kind of relationship I have. My bucket and I decide what kind of relationship we have
There
together.
is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this
'Cause
terrible wrong.
It's weird because in the
Let
first...
Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world.
No. So I want to do that because last time I accidentally hit resume and I did not mean to do that. I wanted to get away from that because it seems like there's either the obsession with Stanley as the human who has an attachment to a bucket that people are upset with because they don't understand, or it is this other narrator person and also the broom closet apparently who do not like that Stanley has the bucket because they don't think the bucket should be with Stanley. And I don't understand why everyone has such... And also the game, the building, the machine of the game is like, you don't get to have the bucket because you liked it so much now it's a thing. And it's like, y'all, just let me have my bucket. God damn.
All of his co-workers were... Wait, no. This isn't the right office, is it? Is this Stanley's office?
I was gonna end it with the happy ending with the bucket because I was like, oh well, that's the thing that I can, I'll just do the fun, interesting shit, and then at the end, I mean that's still fun and interesting. Hang on, rephrase. I was like, it'll be fine. I'll do all of that stuff, and then I'll know how I want to end this round of playing this game because I can rely on the straight up like, oh, good ending, and we'll revisit it, and it'll be fine. And then it's like, fuck you, you don't get that good ending, and now I'm like, what the fuck?
You're so lucky to have a bucket, but Stanley is a very lucky fellow. Very lucky indeed.
I didn't do nothing. I'm just hanging out with my bucket and everyone else has got problems with it. Projecting that shit onto me. I'm just trying to live my life with my bucket.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
I'm trying to think of where to take this bucket. Ignore the sirens. Oh shit, I meant to go back and jump out of the window. Fuck. Oh well. Bucket, where do we go? Can't jump out of this window. Maybe, mayhaps. Kind of get a little bit of leverage on it. Go run away with the bucket, jump out the window, break the game, get the fuck out of here. No, alright. Damn. I usually just walk until stuff happens to me. I gotta actually try to think about what I'm doing now. That sucks. Okay, if I go left, then I think the only options are going up into that space and going to escape, but I keep ending up with that. And I don't know how to get through the mind control facility part to press the buttons and leave. So I don't think there's any way out this way. I think I have to go this way.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be.
Where do I go? I don't know,
Being here with the bucket was a grand adventure. Stanley reflected on
I'm stuck on getting out of here with the bucket.
Walking through the door on the right, then walking to the lounge, then arriving at the lounge. What a thrilling journey the bucket had inspired.
This is my friend. I'm not leaving my bucket. I am now thoroughly attached to this bucket. This is my companion, my ally.
This was where the bucket felt most truly at home. Here in the employee lounge.
I just don't know how to get the hell out of here.
It's the only place a bucket can even feel.
You know where I haven't gone?
But finally, the bucket was done being in the lounge, and they took the first open door on their left to get back to business.
But that one only has going right, which says you can't... There's something about no buckets, but going straight ahead. It just takes me to the thing where it's like, oh, we're chilling, and the narrator gets all jealous and is like, I want the bucket now, and I'm like, no. This way?
And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
I'm gonna try this. I love how everything changes just because you have a bucket. Peak game design. For real, though.
I'm glad you found your...
See, this is the other thing I'm talking about. Like, now this is happening. It's like, intervention, you like your bucket too much. I'm like,
you see,
I'm sorry that y'all don't have a bucket that you like this much. That sounds like a you problem.
About you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
I don't want to follow the Adventure Line.
Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well. Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley's addicted to drugs and hookers.
It's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
No.
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character.
See, like, this motherfucker created a straight up
Bucket Destroyer.
character specifically to just destroy this because
I think
jealous.
it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree? Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
No.
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will
Why
do.
is it
if
just a
can't
cardboard cutout of a
destroy your
baby and a
bucket.
mannequin?
Destroying
Oh,
the buckets is all it knows.
It's
That
part of the
is
base
its
game.
singular
I saw the
personality
mannequin.
trait.
That was part of the
Sure, I
apartment
can hear
ending.
you
Actually,
say,
you know
how
what?
does it-
I don't gotta stick around here. I'll show you the apartment ending. Where it was. I guess if I have the bucket, it's not the
Stanley
same.
had never seen the office this brightly lit. Was it a sign of something? He hoped it was. He hoped very much that it was.
I'm bringing the bucket with me.
It takes a lot of humility to carry a bucket so magnificent. Stanley checked his ego and then proceeded onward. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley
ignore
had
the
felt
sirens.
the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes.
Oh,
Go there.
I
Go to the
was-
cargo lift.
If I went that... Hang on. Oh. New. I haven't been here, though. Whoa. I don't know what this is. Something's going on. I haven't seen this without the bucket. I don't know what this is. New content, new content. Oh. Hello.
Okay, this is day number 295. Tape number... I don't even know. I've lost track. Nothing feels real anymore.
Oh.
The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes.
Oh.
The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for it. I still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it.
No. No.
It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket.
No.
This is my golden
Who is this
ticket.
person so I can fight them?
But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get... What's that? Who's there?
That's me coming for you.
Camporata.
What the fuck is Camporata? That's what happens when you try to monetize good feelings. I'm gonna get your ass. Alright, well that's not how I anticipated that going.
All of his co-workers were... Wait, no. This isn't the right office, is it? Is this Stanley's office?
Bucket, you wait. I gotta see what that would have been if I didn't have Bucket with me. Give me a second.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. It was okay.
I was not this the whole time I've been in here. It's like, whoa, is this worth it? Is this a nice time? Oh, the Bucket likes it. Or, we're gonna investigate it. And I go here by myself. I was like, it's fine.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
The employee room isn't the same without the Bucket. It's not, apparently.
Stanley had now gotten himself so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun so far.
You didn't think I was actually just a recording, did you? What a silly and trite explanation that would be. All the back and forth between you and me, all the absurd adventures we've been through, and it all turns out I'm just a tape recording? It was all just in Stanley's head. I bet that's the kind of twist you think is revelatory. I bet each and every time you watch a movie where it turns out all to be in the main character's imagination, you must absolutely bolt off the couch in pure shock at the phenomenal and intricate storytelling. It must be so simple to be you. Life being an unending waterfall of surprises and delights. How much more exciting you must find the world than the rest of us do.
It's pretty exciting.
Now I've become sad. Look what you've done to me. This is all your fault.
Oh, yeah. All right.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Oh.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Whoa, my brain like glitched for a second.
Stanley cradled the bucket in a gentle embrace, protective yet delicate, assertive yet compassionate.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
I keep forgetting that I want to go back and jump out the window. God damn. You know what? I don't know why I'm not just... I'm getting the bucket.
Sitting there,
Oh.
Stanley wondered to himself. Minutes? Days? Centuries? Did something crucial happen while my senses were turned? He made a note to be more careful with time from now on.
Stanley's bucket, the only co-worker he would ever truly need.
Yes, whispered the bucket into Stanley's ear.
We've done it. We've escaped from that dull office and that pesky narrator. At last, out here in the white void, we are alone. Now, and for the first time, I can reveal to you my true self.
The bucket began to tell Stanley of its life and its history, of the countless wars it witnessed, desecrating the land and lives of untold numbers of innocent humans, and the bucket's own complicity therein, of sadness and regret, and the many years it spent dwelling on the actions it might have taken to curb the madness and the decay, if only it had been stronger, of hope and redemption, and its crusade to uplift the stock of life for the common man, to manifest justice where none existed, and the bittersweet reality of time, to see one's dreams and wishes met halfway, meted out in parcels like charity, and abandoned as soon as the warm glow of inspiration begins to dim. The opportunities to do so much more. There was so much it could have done, perhaps, the bucket wondered to itself. Perhaps if it had seen its own darkness with a clearer perception. This was way too much for Stanley.
What are you talking about?
He screamed.
You're a bucket!
To this, the bucket furrowed its brow.
No,
Said the bucket.
not since the evil wizard Gambhorata first ensnared me
Oh.
in his machinations as payback for the sacred amulet I stole from his treasured vaults. I was young back then and could not conceive the ramifications of... No!
Jesus Christ!
This is stupid! Hey, bucket!
What the fuck?
This is so stupid! Why are we even doing this?
As Stanley screamed and screamed and screamed, the bucket revealed its true form, transforming into a mighty beast of untold power, its fangs glistening like...
Oh. Oh, what's happening?
Oh my God, Stanley!
No!
You saved us from
No!
the bucket! Thank God you already had all 12 emblems of sages and knew the incantations to summon their true power. Otherwise, we would have easily been overwhelmed by the bucket's power. I'm speechless. You've demonstrated such bravery here today. Come, let's restart the game, and we'll agree to never again go trifling with this bucket, nor the dark magic cast away inside of it.
Why would you do this? I'm getting my fucking bucket. Fuck
All
y'all.
of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Give me my bucket
Stanley
back.
decided to go to the meeting room.
Wah.
Is Stanley, without the bucket, really Stanley at all?
That's not the point.
No, surely not. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was it no? Never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else.
I like how the narrator
cargo
tries
lift,
to be
yes.
like, alright,
Go
well,
there. Go to the
I'll-
cargo lift.
I'll still maneuver Stanley into doing these things by narrating in a new way. Fool, I cannot be tamed.
You're getting close now, Stanley. You've nearly gotten all of the Figler Anarines. Very soon, you'll collect the last one, and then the first
Also,
number
there's
will equal the
these
second
things.
number, and that will be it. We'll be different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them, and now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler Anarines. None of us can.
If I jump, I don't think I'll die.
But Stanley feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket,
Oh,
his dearest friend. So he threw himself to his death, that they might
that
die
wasn't
in
what
one
my
another's
intention was
arms.
at all.
How deeply touching.
Well, damn. God damn it. 3 hours, 33 minutes, and 33 seconds. This was not my
What
intention.
could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Alright, I'm gonna do one
As
more.
Stanley lifted his bucket, he felt a connection to all buckets everywhere. This adventure, he decided, was for all of them.
I'm gonna... I don't know, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna... I don't know how I want to end this yet. But, this will be the last one I do this time.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly
And then I'll
to
try to
his
figure
chest
out what the hell I'm
and
gonna
entered
do
the
next
door
time.
with
I don't know, I might play this again, but... I don't know what else to do. I don't know, I might do the... I think I'm just gonna switch up how I'm playing games. Like, I'm just gonna play whatever I feel like playing. So I'm not gonna make any promises about when I'm gonna keep playing this. But I want to at least... I don't know.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to
Maybe there's
be.
something to do in here.
And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was.
how insightful the bucket turned out to be. Truly, being here with the bucket was a grand adventure. Stanley reflected on all they'd been through together. First, walking through the door on the right, then walking to the lounge, then arriving at the lounge. What a thrilling journey the bucket had inspired.
Maybe I should go to...
Perhaps this was where the bucket felt most truly at home. Here in the employee lounge. Perhaps it's the only
Down
place
didn't
a
change.
bucket can even feel at home. Stanley decided to just give the bucket absolutely as much time as it needed to be in the lounge.
Sometimes I get
Clearly, the
things
bucket
just
and
for,
the
like,
employee
chilling
lounge
here, but...
shared a special connection.
Can't think of where else I should bring this bucket. Maybe I needed to do more stuff by myself. Go straight across and that will just take me back down. I don't think there's anything else for me to do there.
But finally, the bucket was done being in the lounge, and they took the first open door on their left to get back to business.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Is there a key card? Key card? Probably not.
Good,
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Now pick up the phone.
Oh, hold on. Why did you unplug the phone? Were you trying to resist the bucket's orders? Stanley, I was joking. Obviously, the bucket isn't talking to you and telling you to do things. Buckets can't talk. It was a joke.
Don't you get the joke? It's funny, Stanley. A talking bucket. Can't you see?
Oh, goodness. I must have really bungled up the delivery if you actually took me seriously. Where did I mess up the joke?
A lot of cigarette butts
Should I have
everywhere.
paused for longer or spoken quicker? Comedic timing is so difficult. I wish I were better at it. But there
Didn't
is
realize I was
no
just gonna straight up fucking
instructional
unplug the
video
phone.
on comedy that one can watch to fully... Oh, wait, yes, there is. It's
Oh,
sitting
here we
right there.
go.
Let's take a look.
What is comedic timing? What is comedic timing? How does it work? How long should it last? How can it be used to effectively silence your political enemies? And more importantly, can it be taught in its entirety within 90 seconds? Thankfully, the answer to all of these questions is yes. Let's dive deeper. If you've ever told a joke or made someone laugh, in all likelihood, you did it while standing 50 to 80 centimeters from them in a room of no more than 76 degrees Fahrenheit, with one of your arms raised straight upward at a 15-degree angle from your body. These are the optimal conditions for good comedic timing. To begin the joke, start by stating and spelling your name. Next, provide a brief synopsis of the joke, including the specific times at which the recipient of the joke will laugh, and then spell out your name a second time. With these steps complete, it's time to begin the humor. Speak the entire joke in no more than 18 seconds and no less than 13 and a half, pausing only for bathroom breaks when necessary. When the joke has concluded, it is customary to inform your listener that the joke is over by declaring in your loudest possible voice, "I'm Dunny with the funny." Let's practice screaming, "I'm Dunny with the funny" now.
I'm never Dunny with the funny.
Good. This saying is
My life is a
perfect
constant
example of
joke.
expectations management,
It's ongoing.
which is the cornerstone of good comedy. Finally, it's time to hand out surveys. Collecting hard data from your audience on how rapt they were throughout the joke is the only way to grow or learn as a comedian. An effective survey should be no less than 10 pages long and should
Jesus.
include the same question reprinted several times, just to ensure the survey taker is actually paying attention and not simply filling in answers at random. And that's all there is. With these strategies at your disposal, you'll have audiences doubled over in laughter and even tripled over in laughter in no time at all. Just remember to let them stop laughing at some point, you gut-busting little scamp. After all, we're each of us needed on the front lines of the war to fight the 12-legged invader who threaten our very existence, and to very likely die in a hailstorm of bullets and mandibles. All of us must be prepared to give our lives to this noble cause, just as our children must do after us, and their children after
Lord.
them. Godspeed, and may Earth reign supreme.
Hey, goodness, this video is a little outdated, isn't it? Well, no matter. I think the fundamentals of proper comedic timing are still as relevant today as they were back then. So with that in mind, I believe the only way forward is for us to return to the two doors and walk through all of this again, so I can try telling my story with more appropriate comedic delivery. Come along, let's head back.
My bucket sticker is gone. What's happened?
I can feel it. This time, I'm really going
Why
to
did you take
nail
my
the delivery.
bucket sticker
You'll be in
away?
Stitches. A talking bucket, you'll say? How ridiculous. How absurd. What a hilarious concept. The king of comedy. That's what you'll call me. Thank goodness we had the instructional video. Otherwise, who knows where we'd be right now. Well, I wouldn't be the king of comedy, that's for sure. The bucket spoke to Stanley.
The bucket spoke.
The bucket spoke. Oh, I'll figure it out on the fly. No need to overthink things.
All right.
Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open doors, they entered the door on the left.
So if I do that, isn't that going to mess up your whole bit?
No. You were supposed to go through the door on the right, leading back to the phone. Did you not even look at the instructional video? I think this is all covered very clearly. There's no way I can make the comedic timing work now. It's done. The joke is completely done and over. It's all your fault, Stanley. I'm going to be ridiculed in the community of other joke writers. I'm going to be shamed at every one of our meetings from now on. All because you couldn't watch a simple video and take a hint. Are you proud of yourself for bringing me down, Stanley? Are you proud? Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left.
Oh.
What? We're back at the phone already? No. What's going on? There were supposed to be several rooms leading up to this. There was supposed to be a build-up to this point. A dramatic display of remarkable comedic wit which culminates in this scene with the phone. But now the timing's completely off. The joke will never land. Well, not the way it was meant to. And it's all my fault. I must have forgotten that the phone room comes immediately after the 2 doors room. What an egregious mistake. I've made a fool of myself. I don't deserve the title of King of Comedy. I'm nothing. I'm not even the lowliest joke-telling
Jesus.
I think I need to go.
Oh, God.
Watch that instructional video again. Yes, surely that will help me improve my...
Stanley, you love the bucket so much it's like you... It's as though all of your other most prized possessions are pale in comparison.
Oh.
Let me try that again. Stanley.
Well, this works.
I heard that you are pale with shame over how unabashedly in love with a bucket you are. No? Still not? Is it the delivery? Pale with shame. Pale with shame? Pale... What's another word to describe a bucket? Stanley, this bucket is so mental. I think I saw it playing guitar. No. Getting away from making fun of Stanley's obsession with the bucket, which was the whole point of this. I'm no good at these jokes. I need more instructional videos. That's exactly what it is. That's what will make me the king of comedy again. More instructional.
Sorry, Leroy.
Let's see.
Alright, that feels like a good enough place to end that, I guess. The sequel is now paused. Okay, well, he only wants friends that do exactly what he wants. That's a toxic, yeah, it's a toxic friendship for real. Like, narrator needs to chill out a little bit. I need to get up and move around because I've been streaming for, almost 4 hours now, and that's probably not good for my leggies. So, I'm gonna get up and move around. The blood flew my body. Learn how to speak first. Rewatch the instructional video about comedy and also how to use words. And then never talk to anyone ever again. It's alright. I started uploading these to YouTube in case people want to watch them. But I mean, like, I like streaming whenever. And I appreciate you being here in general, so thank you for popping in. And I feel like there's more I want to say, but I don't know. I just thank you for watching. I mean that sincerely, but that sounds like such a, like, I don't know. I think I just need to take a break, but I'll try streaming again soon. Yeah, you have a good rest of your day too. I'll see you later. Bye.